All right, so today we have Nicolai Glazer on the call with us today. Nicolai, thanks so much for being on and sharing some of your wisdom and your time with us today.
Appreciate you having me, David. Thank you.
You might have heard of this guy. His name is Alex Honnold. His movie, it's called Free Solo. It came across
Oh,
my.
yes.
Okay.
No, no, no. Now I know who you're talking about. This is the guy that was doing all the crazy climbing.
Yes. Okay. So,
He's legend.
oh, dude, this guy is insane. He climbed up El Capitan, which is in Yosemte. He practiced for 2 years, climbing up with
Without
safety
ropes.
gear. With well, he practiced with ropes, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
and then he would go home, and I haven't seen the movie, but I saw clips of it because I was like intrigued by how he was able to do that. Because I'm afraid of heights, and I would say I I wouldn't even rock climb a mountain to begin with ropes, and I would never think of doing it without any type of safety gear or ropes. This guy went and climbed for 2 years with safety gear, and he was very meticulous. He knew what he was grabbing, where he was grabbing, how much pressure, and he documented his practice climbs. Then he got to a point where he did it without ropes and gear. I cannot imagine how anybody could go about doing that. And he did it, and there was a whole film crew doing it too. So that's a different thing too. I mean, you have to have such focus. You can't even look at the camera crew. I found out this interesting fact that neuroscientists actually went and scanned his amygdala. And if you're not familiar with what the amygdala does, it basically is responsible for the fight or flight response and all of us. And it controls how we process emotions, how we filter and store memory. They scanned his amygdala and they found out that it doesn't fire the way normal amygdalas do. So somewhere in his path, he was able to manage that part of his brain. They don't know if it's something he was born with or something he acquired over time as he developed the confidence to, go rock climbing. Isn't it interesting that, like, okay, I'm not involved in extreme sports or anything like that, but I feel like it's amazing to see how and what a human can accomplish when we're able to control our emotions, we're able to control our fight or flight response. Most of the issues we deal with in life are not one of physical danger anymore. It's more emotional fear, emotional stress. I'm just throwing, I just love that story, and I wanted to lead into you because Nicola, I know that this last year has been challenging for a lot of people in different ways, and you've been able to get through some of your challenging times. And though you may not be a ropeless rock climber, uh, you know,
Aren't we all in our own ways, though?
oh, 100%, 100%.
Metaphorically speaking, in our lives and how we live and the stress that we each have to deal with.
It is a metaphor for us, and I'd love for you just to take over and just kind of share with the audience and how, the title is How Surfing Yoga and My Dog Saved My Life, because that's what you said to me. You said, I don't have any magical morning routine formula or affirmations or mantras, but I live from a place of gratitude and understanding the value that each day presents, and little simple practices like surfing, yoga, and just being around your dogs give you the mindset to conquer your day. So if you don't mind sharing kind of what that looks like for you and just your life journey, and maybe what you've done in the last year or so dealing with some of the challenges that you faced.
Yeah, for sure. And, I think the initial onset when we were talking and when you first invited me on to be part of your clubhouse talk here was about, my morning affirmations and, my morning routine and what I do to prepare myself every day for my business to go out and, be successful. And it's interesting because I don't have a specific morning routine. I don't meditate in the mornings. I don't journal. I don't, sit, so to speak, and go through morning affirmations. However, I do have my morning routines, and I've got my routines through my day. But unpacking the bigger picture, it's like, look, we've all been dealing with this, call it mental health issues, which is much more vast than anybody really wants to admit individually, and what we've all been experiencing through COVID over the last, what has it been, 16 months, and how life has just affecting each one of us individually, and everybody's going through their own story and has their own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
for me, my story is that 1 month before COVID hit, one of my brothers was diagnosed with brain cancer. And so I get a little choked up when I talk about it. But, you know, here's, we're a very close, tight knit family. My brother gets diagnosed with brain cancer. We don't know what's going on. Everybody goes into kind of quick survival mode, if you will, to understand what he has and how we deal with it. And, ultimately, he has the most aggressive, worst form of any type of brain cancer called glioblastoma, GBM, if you've heard of it before.
Jeez, man.
And 10 months later, he was dead. And the process of going through that with him, with my family, watching my parents deal with their son being ill, my brother, I've got another brother as well, um, his wife and two teenage children. I already brought up, now we're in the middle of COVID going through all this stuff. There's, managing a business and just life stress that happens to
Yep.
us every day. We have to keep
Yep.
living. We have to keep surviving and pushing forward with what we do. So, even though the title, if you will, might be a little dramatic, but we all have to, find our center. And as I've come into 2021 and ultimately with my brother passing in January of this year, and then, being able to, I'm known for kind of burying my head into my business too and focusing on that. And I turned 50. I turned 50 last month. And then kind of coming through all of this and dealing with my brother's health issues, I'm watching my parents have health issues. And for me to become the caregiver and just all these different layers of challenges that are thrown at me as an individual, that, and everybody carries things differently, right? Some people, you kind of talk about that fight or flight. You brought that up in the beginning, and it's you know for me, I'm an emotional person, and I carry things, and I'm a healer.
Mm.
So understanding how I can take on all these tasks to help those people around me, oftentimes we forget to take care of ourselves.
Totally.
And
Yep. Agreed.
at what point in time are we not helping the people around us because we're not being the best version of ourselves?
Mm.
So my journey, if you will, and I call it a journey. My girlfriend said, "Hey, you keep saying your journey, but this is our journey." And it's true, because we do all go on it together, and we take each other on different rides throughout this journey in different forms or fashions. But for me, really taking a concerted effort to pause and understand where I am in my life and how I can be the best version of myself. And it's not just, okay, let's go flip the light switch. I mean, this is
Right.
a lot of stuff that I've needed to unpack, and I'm working through it right now still. This isn't something where it's like, okay, I've done all the work, I'm good.
Right.
And the daily struggles that we all have, and how we manage that. So, for me, getting up in the mornings and taking my dogs for a walk and getting some fresh air and looking at the ocean, and you know I'm not a religious person, I'm more spiritual. So for me to be able to, even just step foot out on the beach, but I am a surfer my whole life, and so making sure that I do get in the ocean, and I always say having the salt water on my skin, and just being really at the edge of the earth and being able to look out at, off into the horizon, and riding waves, to me is so spiritual, rejuvenating, and refreshing too. So, and then of course yoga. With yoga, for me, getting in, and there was one word that you left out when you were using your adjectives before, is love. And Shannon, who's listening right now too, is, we were talking about it yesterday. It was like I came out of that, my yoga class, and it was like my heart was so full. you know,
Mm,
and I was filled with love and gratitude. And I think if we can individually go through our lives and have more love and more gratitude and be more considerate of each other. There's been a shift in society where people think that, they can say or do anything they want and affect people however they want, have no implication or consequence. And, I think it's an unfortunate space that's going on right now, the dynamics and the shift that are happening. You and I touched on this a little bit, but I think we just need to all pause and just say, hey, listen, how can I be a better version of myself for you and be more respectful, loving, caring, and gracious in my day? I don't have to tell you my every emotion, or beat you up, or mentally, so to speak, and really, let my emotions fly every time I have a thought come to my head. And I think that we've come into this time period where people just think they can say and do anything. And quite honestly, it's happening and people are just getting away with it. And society's become a little malicious, to be honest with you. And so surrounding
totally.
myself with like minded individuals, um, not to take up too much time, but, through that love and gratitude and really go inward with myself to find my personal space. Um, and people close to me that I can share that with is my success and where I am in my life right now that's finding me peace.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's also analogous with what's happening in society is very similar to what happens in a family when something traumatic or something major happens. Like, if you ever watched it doesn't have to be your family, but if you've seen a family where maybe the matriarch died or whatever, and it totally shifts a family, and it could really mess up a family or could bring them closer together. It just depends on how everybody, you know, deals with this trauma or this maybe a potentially negative situation. And that's what I feel like is happening in our world right now. We're all kind of figuring out, like, hey, what just happened, right? What happened last year is like still the residual effects are still very real. It's like it's not just because we're opened up now. I don't have to wear a mask or to the grocery store. There's still a lot of stuff that we have to work through. There's going to be a lot of
Yeah.
of work to be done for not just. I'm not even pointing fingers like people need to work on stuff. It's like even me, like, okay, what, like you said, you have to turn to yourself, turn within, and be like, hey, what is you know what's something I need to work through, right? We have to look at these moments of struggle and challenge as cues. All right, what is this showing me? Where can I grow so I become more whole, so then I can fill somebody's cup, so I can be of better service. You know what I mean? And so I'm seeing that a lot, and I appreciate you sharing your journey. I know you had I mean, that's got to be heartbreaking. That's so heavy, to hear. I know you told me a little bit yesterday, and anytime someone like that you respect, admire, and care for goes through that, it's heartbreaking. So, and I know for you, you're still healing. It's not like, oh yeah, it happened a few months ago, so I'm good. No, I mean, your brother's passing, and now you're probably still having to figure out how to take care of your folks, and
And
that's
that's the life journey.
yeah, yeah,
That's the life journey. And, I would just say that, for people who go through daily life, like we all need to heal every day, from our daily lives. It's, whether you're having good days or bad days, even with the good days, understanding why was it good and how do I keep that good mojo rolling, and figure out where the repeatable events are within there, and figuring out where the negative energy is and how to displace that from your life, and not invite it in.
and you do that through surfing, yoga, and your dogs. Now, obviously, that's a simple statement. Obviously, there's a lot more dynamics that are involved in your everyday. But I love how you're using love through all those mediums, right? surfing, you're connecting with nature, you're connecting with something much more, much more spiritual than just maybe paperwork, right? And yoga
Yeah.
again, similar. You're moving your body, you're tuning in with your thoughts and the energy that's flowing through your body, and then your dogs. Obviously, that's, I mean, anybody who's been stressed out and pets a dog or sees their dog, swimming in the
Mm.
ocean. How is that not?
Unconditional love.
Yeah, it's powerful, man. And I think those, we tend to complicate a lot of things and um, kind of go back and forth between something complicated to something simple, and there's just kind of ebb and flow of that too. But I think what you've done is you've been able to simplify the complexity of your day, and sharing with us those key elements that help you navigate through the treacherous waters that we've been going through, and we still go through every day, right? It's not like you said, it's not like I'm done. It's not like I figured it out and here's the magic formula.
Yeah, and honestly, I think we're our own worst enemies within our daily lives too. And and I think if we can really just grab onto simplification, you were talking about, overcomplicating things in life, but keep it simple.
Mm,
Let's not over. There's enough on
mm-hmm,
us every day already. We're
mm-hmm.
already have enough energy coming at us from different directions. No matter what you do, even if you just are driving down the street, other people on the road, other cars, you're going to the grocery store, you're going to restaurants. We're constantly getting hit with all this energy. So, let alone whatever you're responsible for in that day. So, keep it simplified, be thankful, and have a big, gratuitous and loving heart, and that will help shield you, and maybe you can affect somebody around you in a positive way as well, to just take that deep breath. I want to take a deep breath when I say this, when we're having this conversation right now, and I am breathing, and I hope you are too. But take a deep breath, and when you exhale the negativity out, and just know that that deep breath in is inhaling your heart with good stuff.
It's true. A simple breath can add years to your life. There's a saying, I don't know where it originates from, that your life is measured in breaths, and so
Hmm.
if you take slower, longer breaths, then you extend your life, right? Because if you're taking little, short little breaths, your life's gonna go quick because that kind of indicates that you're stressed out or you're in this, like, in fight or
Right.
flight, right? And so taking those long breaths are key. Well, Nicolai, thanks so much for being on the call today. All those who are listening, watching, thanks for tuning in. Connect with Nicolai if you don't know who he is. Google him, find him on social media. He is somebody who's inspiring me. I follow him, and I thought he would be a great person to have on the call. Obviously, if you listened, you would agree with me. So, Nikolai, thanks for being on the call today.
Thanks, David. I appreciate you having me. Always the consideration and the friendship. And I have a feeling if you and I wanted to keep talking about this stuff, we could just keep going. So I really appreciate your time and being part of your life as well.
Likewise, man. Likewise. Yeah, we'll definitely have to have you back on as new topics come to mind, and obviously we can dive into this conversation for hours. Appreciate your time and trying to make this sweet, short, and simple. That way, people can
Yep.
can can listen and grab the key nuggets that they can take and hold for their day, so they can
Yep.
get through it and grow. And I think that's a big part of why we're here.
You got it, brother. Have a beautiful day.
All right, take care, guys.